What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Founder Academy, episode 31. Crazy that we have, we've done 31 episodes, guys. This is actually going to be a two-part episode, if you can call it that. So part one is going to be episode 31, part two will be episode 32, and it is us doing this objective here. So the 90-plus Team of the Season player objective. So there's 4 cards total. One is for offline, which you guys are going to see in a second here. That's something that we didn't do on video. And then the other 2 are from squad battles. You have to score 20 goals in squad battles, and you have to just play 10 games, and then you get a group award for all of them. So I need fodder. I have basically nothing in my club. I'm scrambling for even just like the most basic SBCs. I literally almost have nothing. I've been selling silvers and golds and getting rid of anything that I can, even like managers and stuff like that, in order to just make some of these types of SBCs work. And I've just been scrambling with like less than 10K almost every single time to try to get anything going. It's been tough because I've got so many high rated cards. I just don't have the low rated cards to like fill in to just even make like an 85 or 84 rated team. It's a really funny time. It's the first time in FIFA where I've really felt this way, where I'm just like totally cleaned out, but I've got all this fodder sitting in there. And as I mentioned in the last video, the fodder is the part that kills you because you're holding on, and then you have nothing to use it for. So the first one that we got was a Serbi. That's the third time we got that goof. He's gone into SBCs every single time, but that just goes to show you how poor the pack weights are. And then we did one of the SBCs where we get Jamie Vardy. So Jamie Vardy and Renato Sanchez, of every blind pack SBC, are the only 2 that I've ever gotten that are usable. Sorry, I take that back. Thiago's technically usable. I think we got him in one of the SBCs as well. It might have been like a 90 plus or a 92 or something like that. Can't remember where we got Thiago. I got him in the last episode. I already forgot. But I would say of those 3 cards, those are the only ones that we've gotten that are usable at all. Like, this is my fitness team. This is the first time we're ever going to be using them online. This is how they play in games, so don't worry about the chemistry. I don't play Trippier on 7 chem. And I think he's the only guy who's off chem in that. But we actually ended up moving Phil Foden to CDM and then Ndombele up there to start, just to get the chemistry, and then we move them to that in game. So if that makes sense to you guys, if not, don't worry, you guys will see what's happening. So Phil Foden's out on the left, Pogba's in the center, Bruno Fernandes is on the right. Usually I sub one of those guys off, either Fernandes or Pogba, play one of them at the cam, usually Fernandes. I like Pogba a lot. Sometimes Pogba comes into the holding midfield and will take Ndombele off, but the issue with Pogba is he's just too slow from an acceleration standpoint to play at cam, and I just have a lot of CDMs. Like, it's hard to take Ndombele off because he's so good defensively, but Pogba's a very good card. He's very well-rounded. I just don't know if we have the room to fit him in, so he does get subbed off a lot. So this is the first game. As I started to say at the start of the video, part 1 is going to be the first 5 games. Part 2 is going to be the second 5 games. So this was our first opponent. First time using this team, so I didn't know what to expect here. Not that that's an excuse for any losses or anything that happens, but this game was actually, to be totally honest with you, quite dull. One of the things that I found is doing these objectives in Division 5, because guys are de-ranking themselves, you're getting some really good players. You're getting some Div 5 players, but Div 5 guys, like I've said in the past, are not just Div 5 guys. They're like Div 3 players that, because it's only hardcores playing, have actually dropped down, like myself. I probably am going to get into Div 4 at some point just because I've been winning a lot of these Div 5 games. But those divisions are very sweaty, like very sweaty, because these guys all know how to abuse the tactics in the game. Ultra aggression is one, that is just like habitually abused by all of these guys. When I was playing Division 6, 7, like when I deranked myself to do one of the objectives, I think it was the Nelson Semedo one, those guys don't really get how to abuse tactics as well. They don't know when to initiate them. Some guys do, but for the most part, that's the biggest difference. They're not great FIFA players, but the biggest thing is they don't know how to abuse the tactics. Now, I don't want to make this into a tactic complaining episode because we've got enough of those. But, the biggest thing is just these guys understand how to do that. So this is a perfect example. This game finishes 0-0, spoiler alert, but we're in the 88th minute here. This guy was playing ultra attacking for the most part. and so was I. So as you guys can see here, it just causes this jumbled mess of all the players being crazy aggressive, and it causes turnover after turnover after turnover, and then guys start doing dumb stuff like that because they're also using a lot of energy, and the stamina starts draining. So by the end of the game, it turns into this bobbling mess. It's something that I really hope EA can fix. I like the idea. I like why they brought it up, or why they added it to the game initially. It was to prevent guys from tassing it about, which is a term that happened from a couple years ago when FaZe Tass was in the final of one of the E Champions Cup series, and he basically just held the ball, and you know, he was up like 3-0 on aggregate, or 4-0 or something. He just held the ball for an entire game, and his opponent couldn't get it because you could abuse that tactic then. Possession was so overpowered. So they want guys to have a level of error. However, it's so far compensated the other way that it creates too many errors. So there's going to be countless times in this episode period where you guys are going to see opportunities where we've got guys on like great runs, and instead of playing the ball into all this space, it'll force the ball to a crazy aggressive droid-like defender who's just heat-seeking the ball. Your player will force the pass, and it will cause turnovers where it really shouldn't. So it's one of the major frustrations with it. I hope they tweak that next year. Again, I understand why they put it in there, but I don't understand why it's so overpowered. Well, I get why it's so overpowered. I understand that people just figured out that it was part of the meta and they all abuse it, but I'm surprised they haven't tweaked it. It's just something that every high-rated player, like from Div 4 and 5 upwards, all abuse. Like some of these guys just go ultra attacking right out of the gate, and that's one of the things that like pisses me off to no end, because your team is just, you can't do anything about it. It doesn't, you're not able to stop it. So hopefully they have addressed that. I'm not going to hold my breath. It's something that EA is not necessarily known for, is listening to consumer feedback that well. They do it okay, but there's games that do it better, you know. And I understand, huge audience, it's hard to listen to everybody's voice. It's like people praying and expecting God to hear all their prayers, but at the same time, it's very, very difficult for them to get the amount of feedback into these games. But, you know, consumer, former employee, I'm a little mixed on how I feel about it. But anyway, so the first game finished 0-0, very underwhelming. The second game, this guy was trying to be really fancy. I don't know how this goal was not offside. Literally, he plays it. I pass it to a guy in an offside position, and Vardy heads the ball in. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to take it. This guy was really sweaty. He was trying to be really annoying. Like, I think he thought that he was better than he was. He was dancing around with it. But I've gotten to a point where I've become really happy with my FIFA playing abilities. One of the things that I've done really, really well throughout the progression, I guess, of this year is I've gotten a lot more patient with the ball. So in the past, I'm so used to just kind of rushing forward, and I'm using my skill to kind of dance through really tight areas. This year, you have to really slow down. If you're holding sprint, it hurts you to no end. So that's a perfect example. Phil Foden, this guy was just really aggressive with his D, and you can just kind of left stick dribble, which I like a lot because I'm a really good left stick dribbler. I don't sit here praising myself a lot, but it's one of my best parts of my game is I just hold the ball. So these guys that are ultra aggressive, the frustrating part is it forces passes into them when it shouldn't a lot of the time. But when guys are ultra aggressive, or they're just running at you or trying to cut passing lanes, I just wait. I wait it out. Just circles, constantly moving. And these guys are trying to run all over the place and predict where I'm going to go. But as you guys can see, just holding the ball off, these guys get frustrated. There you go. We're up 4-1. Excuse me. Basically after the first half. And FCB Emic 666 did not like that, and he quit out. And really, if you watch that entire game, like, I cut out a lot of it because you guys don't want to see just midfield dribbling. But when guys are just running all over, he's switching players frantically, and he's trying to read where I'm going to pass. I'm just looking, seeing off a player, and then turning the other way. High percentage passes. Literally just work your way up the field. It's like a chess game. You can't rush. You have to be very systematic with your passing, and guys get very frustrated because they don't like not having the ball. They get angry, they pause it, they try messaging you, they try to pause 3 times and hope that you'll quit. They just act like total babies. They don't like it at all. People do not like possession players, but that's how you got to win this year. You know, that's the meta of this game, at least, you know, after all these patches, is being patient and just taking your opportunities. Now, with that being said, I've missed a lot of opportunities, and if I could get a lot more prolific with my goal scoring, I would be an even better FIFA player. But there's a lot of times where, I'm playing guys and they have 3 chances. I'm not talking about just shots because guys can shoot from anywhere. I'm talking about really high quality chances. I'll have like 8 and I'll score 3. And some of these guys have 3 and they score 3. Like, the reason that they're in these divisions is because they're prolific in front of goal. I need to get better at it. Sometimes I'm overthinking it. I've been too reliant on low-driven shots sometimes, where low-driven shots are very, very unreliable this year. And I have been too reliant sometimes on finesses when I forget that, like, a lot of pros that I've been watching, like a guy that is a really good example of this is Ajax Joey. He never really finesses. He just steps into every shot, and there's a reason that he's a pro and I'm not, right? So it's one of the things that I just need to keep in mind sometimes when I'm in front of goal is just step into it. Like, just go cross goal and just hammer the shot, because it seems to be the most high percentage goal scoring shot of this entire year. That is a perfect example right there of what I was talking about. I had Paul Pogba in the middle. He pulled his defender. This guy was just very aggressive with his play. I think he went like ultra aggressive or ultra attacking, right off the start of the game, and it caused the game to just break. But I had Pogba coming up the middle. He pulled his defender way out, and I had Vardy streaking right up the middle. Loads of space, and I made the move to Pogba. I made a little turn to the right, and all I had to do was play it into space. Instead, it forces this pass left, because ultra aggression and team press and constant pressure, they're forcing your players to make mistakes, which just drives me crazy sometimes. I understand that it should make his players more aggressive, but he should have been punished for that. I had acres of space. That's, summer heat Paul Pogba. There's no way that he should be missing that pass. And instead it forced it to the defender, because the defender is like the last man back. So it raises the defensive skill of the last man back, because it just thinks like, okay, this guy's got one chance to make a stop here. So his defensive skill goes like right through the roof, and Paul Pogba ends up giving the ball away there, which is really frustrating. It's not him, it's just the way the game's coded. So just a really frustrating thing. All ththese guys are using it, every single person, including myself. Sometimes I use ultra attacking when I need to get back into a game, but it's just so overpowered that you can't do anything about it. Sometimes it just causes these errors that shouldn't be errors. It's too random. But as you guys are seeing here, I've been able to kind of work my way through these types of things. I'm not rushing. I'm waiting for good opportunities. I thought I had another goal here. Heavy chance. I don't know how that did not go in. Or a red. He basically got a yellow, and he got away scot-free with a last-ditch tackle. I understand that that's the goalie doing it, but, I don't know what happens here. Guy kept running back, going to the line, so I tried to play it short again. And I don't know what happened. As soon as I made the pass, the Vardy started moving. So, that's just the game. What are you going to do? I actually thought that he had the game-winning goal here late in the game with that opportunity with Drogba. I was so scared there. But thankfully, he ends up squandering it. And then he almost ends up screwing it up here at the very end. Phil Foden, nice little pass inside to Vardy. But somehow Vardy was offside there. I haven't gone back and rewatched that. But I thought it should have been a goal. But again, I don't know. Who am I? I maybe was offside. But we do end up getting the breakthrough. A nice little substitute goal from Nani. This Nani card is just so good. Like, you guys missed the boat if you didn't do this. He is incredible. 5-star, 5-star, and he just comes in so clutch. He can play anywhere along the top. You could even play him striker if you wanted to. But anywhere in those cam positions, left, right, center, he is just so good. I actually thought this guy was going to score off kickoff here. Kickoff hasn't been something that I've been too worried about in the past. Like, I can usually handle it because my defense is quite good, but he was just getting these crazy bounces. Again, super aggressive on his part. I thought I had another goal. I was going to cut back and just lay off to Foden, but somehow his keeper comes out and slide tackles me, which I was not. That's my fault. I wasn't watching. I was too busy looking at where the runner was coming in, which you probably should, but that keeper came in and just slid tackled my player because I was too busy watching the oncoming player instead of watching the player with the ball, which I should have been doing. But it doesn't really matter. At the very end, we end up getting a 3-2 victory. That was a real weird goal. I showed this replay because I made the cut outside, but instead of him just cutting normally, he did a little knock on and skips past it. So I got a little lucky with the animations there. I did want to do that. I didn't want to make the move on his defender. It wasn't like I didn't intend on doing that, but the animation helped it a lot. It moved the player out of the way, went around him, and it also made the keeper come off his rail, and I was able to score. So I just thought that was a funny little animation that I would keep in there. So we go on to, I think this is game 4, San Martin FC. I'm surprised by the amount of people that are using Karim Benzema. I think they just see his rating and they think the card's going to be really good. Now, with that being said, the guy has scored a lot of goals against me, but he looks way too clunky. I don't know why people use him. That João Felix causes me anxiety because every time I see him, he's caused me nightmares in previous episodes. But again, comes down to the player. If you know how to use him, some guys kill you, some guys don't. Like Jamie Vardy's killed me in the past when I've come up against guys that have him. And then Aubameyang is the opposite. Aubameyang does nothing. And I think this guy actually brought in Aubameyang at one point, conveniently enough. He must have been using the loan. But yeah, like certain cards just cause you nightmares. And Benzema's one of those ones, but Vardy is definitely one of them. So I'm glad I have him in the squad. The problem with the Vardy so far is he's just very weak. He's got 90 physical, and his balance is really high. So he should be better than he is, but he just gets knocked off the ball really easily. It's really bizarre. It's just a strange byproduct of that card. Some guys just don't feel very good. Like a lot of those Moments loans I've brought in as subs, and they do not play well. Like I don't know what it is, but like Eusebio, for example, I thought that Eusebio was awful. Like not awful, he's usable, but he is not worth the coins at all. Other guys might think that that's ludicrous for me to say, but you know, maybe the Prime would be better. The baby version would be, for some reason, probably even better than the Prime, but that Prime Moments one, man, as a substitute, terrible. Like he would get the ball caught up in his feet. It was almost like he was too fast for the ball sometimes. He would overrun it, and then the ball would kind of catch up, and he'd back up, and then it would get caught in his feet, and he'd have to shoot from a standing position. It was really bizarre. Anyway, onto this game. We are up 1-0. This guy gets some lucky bounces here, and then he ends up scoring with Benzema. Not going to complain about that one. It was very fluky, but like, look, we've had those goals ourselves, so I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen. Another opportunity where I actually thought he was going to go ahead there, unlucky, hitting the bar. I've had that happen countless times, so I can tell you for a fact that it's very annoying. This is exactly what I was talking about with Eusebio. That Eusebio card has done this so many times. The ball just got caught in his feet. He slows down, and it waits till he's in a stopping animation before it shoots. I don't know why that is, but man, very frustrating. But we are able to get the win here. We do pull it out at the very end. A nice little cross in. Jamie Vardy with a header. He scored 2 headers in this, so maybe that's one of his secret traits. Yeah, and good defense from us at the very end. This guy was actually a very formidable opponent. I thought he was going to pull some back. He was quite aggressive at the very end. He was pushing forward, and he got a very late opportunity there, and that Nick Pope made a beautiful save. So Nick Pope is a funny one because I do not like the card at all. He punches the ball away so much, but he has made some good saves. He'll make some really big stops in the next game as well. But that one was very critical. The save with feet trait, I mean, that is worth the price of admission, admission in itself, right? Like it's just a very, very useful trait for keepers. I don't know if Ter Stegen has it. I know David De Gea has it, which is why he was so frustrating early on. I don't know if De Gea is really that usable at this stage in FIFA. Some guys still roll with him, but man, to have a keeper that does that, huge, because it just stops almost anything low driven. And at this stage in FIFA, almost everybody has like a really good goalie that can just shot stop, but to have the save with feet trait, that's one that only certain cards have. So super highly valuable, and yeah, I highly recommend getting a keeper that has that if you don't already. Nick Pope, again, not a card that I would recommend, but is one of the benefits of him. So we come up against this guy. This guy was, man, this game was very, very tough. It was back and forth. I thought we had a goal here, you know, bad miss on my part with going near post with Jamie Vardy. Another example where I should have just powered it far post. He stops the penalty. I don't know if he was just got lucky or if he was reading my where my eyes were going from my player, because there is that tell for some of them, and I just basically went straight to the top corner. But he does end up stopping it, and then he ends up scoring a goal, which I was very frustrated with. I'm not going to lie, because I did read it from his cutback. I knew he was coming back inside, but his player just got, you know, on the inside track. All my players ran too far back, and it created a perfect passing lane. Just, it was way too easy. For something that I read, my defenders just made it very, very easy. It was just very frustrating. Another opportunity here where I thought I had another clear-cut goal. Should have just went around him, far post, but I tried to be sneaky and go near post here. And what is that save? Like a shin save. Great save from Oblak. I'm not going to hate on it. That was I bottled that. Like, I really should have been a lot better with it. I thought he was going to score here. When those take those weird deflections off of the defenders, it seems to break the game, and it gets very annoying. And then this happens, and that one set me on fire, man. That one was very frustrating, because there was nothing on there. And I don't even like to think that this guy meant to do that. It was just a hope and a prayer, and he just threw it upfield. But that's an issue that was in like FIFA about 10 years ago, where defenders wouldn't be able to handle bounces or balls that are just lobbed. They just get confused, they kind of stutter, and then they jump up to collect it. And as they're coming down, the striker just runs through them and just takes the ball and puts it into a net. It's so frustrating, and it's been in for years and years and years. It's not as consistent as it used to be. Like, you can't just lob it and expect that to happen, but it happens still, and it's just annoying as hell. So, man, I don't even know what to say. But anyway, we end up pulling one back, and then we get a second one here. Nice finish by Bruno on the first one. He was getting very aggressive with his defensive line. I think he was trying to play an offside trap so his defenders would push up and be more aggressive, and we ended up catching him twice. We had to pull back there, but nice little left stick dribbling from Nani. Weighed out his defenders. Again, he was just being spammy and aggressive, so if you can just kind of do little circles, work your way out of tight quarters. If you're good at left stick dribbling, that's how you basically combat ultra aggressiveness. Don't force passes through, because the passes will get intercepted, and then this type of stuff happens, where, again, set me on fire. Not going to get mad. This guy was a good player. 3-3's probably, in retrospect, like, deserving of the result. He actually almost ended up winning it at the very end, but I was very frustrated by like the animations, which you guys will see, we'll show in the replays. But he was so aggressive that it was just causing me defensively to fall through the floor. I think at this stage we were both ultra attacking. Just crazy frustrating. I actually thought that we should have scored here. He was drawing all his defenders out, but Ndombele, terrible finisher. Took way too long, and then his players, just because he's so aggressive, they just run in and just take the ball and just smother it. Whereas I was getting things like that, like unlucky bounces. I actually thought he had the winner here. Cheeky little lob, but thank the Lord. I didn't think he deserved that at all, but, you know, that's coming from the guy who almost got scored on, so say what you will. And then another stop from Nick Pope with the save with feet trait, so I'm very thankful, because both of those probably could have easily went in, because it was the 90th minute. We're going to show here the final goal, I think the Lewandowski goal, which was just frustrating, because it was moving my players. You could see them kind of do this, where they move out of position, so they're just a step behind. You see there, Alaba kind of went like this and then has to come back. It's moving my guys so they're just barely out of the way, or just a step behind. And then that Tamori, who's been really awful, just misses the last tackle and just moves out of the way. So frustrating, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. So we do finish with 3 wins and I think 2 draws, and yeah, fantastic way to end the episode, because we haven't lost yet. But that is going to be the end of part 1, and I will see you guys tomorrow for part 2. Take care. Peace.